Houthis have confirmed the death of their chief of staff, Mohammed al-Karim Al-Ghamari, on Thursday, describing him as one of the group's most senior military officials. The Houthis said he was killed while fulfilling his duties and warned that Israel would receive its deterrent punishment for the crimes it has committed, though they did not explicitly blame Israel for the killing. The announcement comes amid ongoing regional tensions, with the Houthis launching missiles towards Israel in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza, most of which were intercepted. In response, Israel has carried out airstrikes on Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. Now, for this discussion, we go back to Dan Perry. He's a political analyst, joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you, Dan, for staying with us. Now, looking at this, although they have not explicitly stated that Israel has done that, what impact does this make, and also the death of this particular individual, Al-Ghamari, likely to have on the Houthis' military command structure and operational capacity in the region?
Hard to say, quite possibly very little. These terrorist groups have an assembly line of terrorists that are always ready to take the position of the next person killed above them in the hierarchy. There are some iconic leaders. When Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, was killed, that was meaningful because he had tremendous charisma. He was a public figure. He was absolutely an avatar and an icon of that particular terrorist group. And their current weakening is certainly related to his disappearance and that of the entire cadre that was with him, basically. In this case, the only public figure of the Houthis, other than their spokesman who appears screaming and shouting on video every now and again, but the true leader is Abdel Malik al-Houthi. He's a major figure. His death would be meaningful. I don't think this case is as such, nor do I think there's any discussion about how Israel is responsible or not. Israel, I think, claims responsibility. He was wounded in an Israeli strike that came obviously in response to Houthi attacks. Israel's perspective is that, with all due respect to the Houthis' solidarity with the Palestinians, Israel's under attack by a terrorist group that has taken over half of Yemen, roughly. And it's not legitimate. And it's not just Israel being damaged. The Houthis at some point were impeding about a quarter of maritime trade, or at least a quarter of the global container traffic, and a huge proportion of global maritime trade, which caused price rises all over the world and caused ships that had nothing to do with Israel to have to circumvent Africa to get to Europe and to America from the east. This is ridiculousness. It's piracy. It's absolute aggression. And of course, the Houthis are criminals against the Yemeni people as well. About 400,000 people have died in Yemen in a decade plus since the Houthis have been successful in occupying parts of the country. Part of that from cholera, a lot from just war deaths, torture, misery, poverty, and absolute mania. I mean, their slogan is, death to Israel, death to America, as opposed to life to Yemen. Houthis are a very major problem. I tend to think that now that Iran has been so weakened and maybe can be chastened to stop funding and arming them, and maybe that can just be blocked, probably the war against the Houthis led by Saudi Arabia and the UAE should restart. As a favor for the people of Yemen, I don't know what else to say. I've never met a person who wants to live under the rule of the Houthis, which is some weird, specifically Middle Eastern fusion of theocracy and mafia.
Yes, I agree. Thank you very much, Dan, for sharing that insight as a political analyst and from Tel Aviv. Thank you. Now we move on to our next news. Greece's parliament has passed a controversial labor reform today, permitting private sector employers to extend working hours up to 13 hours, citing the need for a more flexible labor market. The law applies only 3 days a month and up to 37 days a year, and protects workers from dismissal if they refuse overtime. Let's listen into the explanation provided by the Greek Labor Minister, Niki Keramios.
Τις ώρες εμείς ερχόμαστε και δίνουμε μια νέα δυνατότητα στον εργαζόμενο. Αυτό που ήδη κάνει σε 2 εργοδότες, αν το επιθυμεί, να το κάνει σε έναν, άρα α, χωρίς να μετακινείται και β, με 40% αύξηση στις αποδοχές του. Το νομοσχέδιο αυτό διευκολύνει τις επιχειρήσεις, διευκολύνει, επιταχύνει προσλήψεις. Η ολοκλήρωση της πρόσληψης, αντί να χρειάζονται 4 έγγραφα, να χρειάζεται μόνο 1. Ψηφιακά αρχεία για όλες τις εργασιακές σχέσεις. Δυνατότητα για fast track προσλήψεις ακόμα και από το κινητό. Μείωση γραφειοκρατίας, κατάργηση εντύπων. Αφού όλα αυτά υπάρχουν ψηφιακά, γιατί να ταλαιπωρούμε την αγορά εργασίας, εργαζομένους και επιχειρήσεις με την υποχρέωση προσκόμισης όλων αυτών των εντύπων. Και ναι.
That's all we have time for. We will keep bringing you more news updates from around the world.